Hello and welcome back to our news update. I'm Sonia Jastrzębska. An important day here in Warsaw. In just a moment, the inauguration of the president-elect Karol Nawrocki is set to begin. So let's cross live to the Polish Parliament. Here's how the inauguration day of the new president will unfold. To start, Nawrocki will be welcomed to the Parliament building by the speakers of both houses shortly before taking the oath in front of the National Assembly, marking the start of his 5-year term as President of Poland. President Nawrocki will then deliver an address to the assembled members of both houses. The President and First Lady, Marta Nawrocka, will then attend a Holy Mass at midday. At around 2 p.m., a ceremony to invest the new president as the Grand Master of the Order of the White Eagle, Poland's highest honor, will be held in Warsaw's Royal Castle. Later in the afternoon, President Nawrocki and the First Lady will be officially welcomed to the Presidential Palace in Warsaw. This will be followed by a ceremony at 4:30 this afternoon on the Marshal Józef Piłsudski Square, during which President Nawrocki will assume command of the armed forces. In his final address to the Polish nation, outgoing President Andrzej Duda spoke on the role of the President of Poland in international relations, recalling his efforts to secure Poland's interests. Duda is ending his 10-year tenure as Polish president.
Poland became a country whose voice on the international arena really matters. Because Poland was right on key issues, warning Europe and the world of the dangers Russia and Putin pose, warning about dependence on Russian oil and gas, warning about the hybrid war, and warning about irresponsible migration policies. Ladies and gentlemen, as the President of Poland, I took part in hundreds of international visits to the farthest corners of the world, pursuing an intensive policy of security diplomacy and economic diplomacy. The President has to not only represent Poland well, but also pursue its interests, strengthen alliances, and develop international relations that serve the strategic security and increase the importance of our country. What was especially close to my heart was strengthening transatlantic relations. I cooperated closely and intensively with every American administration, no matter who resided in the White House. In my opinion, this is the duty of every Polish president, because a strong alliance with the United States is in Poland's national interest, just like our presence in NATO, as well as in the EU. I underlined that fact during the entire 10 years of my presidency.
As President Andrzej Duda leaves office after 10 years in power, his decade-long tenure stands out as one of the most polarizing periods in Poland's post-communist era. In an opinion piece for TVPWorld.com, editors recall how Duda, elected in 2015 as a little-known MEP, quickly aligned himself with the right-wing Law and Justice Party and its leader, Jarosław Kaczyński. Critics dubbed him the party's rubber stamp, signing laws that deepened Poland's political divides. At home, he reshaped the Constitutional Court by installing loyalists, eroding its role as a check on government power. Abroad, his confrontational approach left Warsaw isolated from much of the European Union. Supporters point to his staunch early backing for Ukraine after Russia's full-scale invasion, Poland's unprecedented military buildup, and his close alliance with Washington during Donald Trump's presidency. Yet controversies over the 2018 Holocaust speech law, anti-LGBT rhetoric, and pardons for the right activists left his image deeply divisive. With no independent political base and his party now in opposition, Duda exits politically isolated, leaving behind a presidency seen by many as a tool for partisan goals rather than a unifying national office. On Polish President Andrzej Duda's last day in office, the First Lady Agata Kornhauser-Duda decided to speak to the outgoing president's cabinet. She describes herself as, quote, the happiest person on the staff to be concluding the service.
A teacher and a First Lady. Agata Kornhauser-Duda, wife to President Andrzej Duda, has seldom spoken out during the 10 years of her husband's tenure as President of Poland. That, however, changed on the last day of Andrzej Duda's tenure.
One thing ends, another begins. I think I'm the happiest person in this cabinet. I say farewell to you all with the lyrics of one of my favorite songs. This is the end, nothing remains. We are free, we can leave.
The lyrics, part of a song by popular Polish rock band Elektryczne Gitary, has become the signature chant of school students at the tail end of the school year as they leave their classrooms for summer vacation, prompting some to believe that Agata Kornhauser-Duda is in need of a long vacation away from politics.
We're still waiting for the swearing-in ceremony to commence, so in the meantime, let's move on to other news. US President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff has arrived in Moscow. International media has reported that Witkoff was greeted by Kirill Dmitriev, the head of Russia's sovereign wealth fund, and Putin's special representative for economic cooperation with foreign countries. All right, so now we're going to move back live to the Polish Parliament, where the swearing-in ceremony of Karol Nawrocki is about to begin.
Szanowni Państwo,
Gentlemen,
otwieram obrady
I
Zgromadzenia
open the session
Narodowego
of the National Assembly
zwołanego na podstawie
convened
artykułu
under
114
Article
ustęp 1 w
114.1
związku z artykułem 130
in conjunction with Article
Konstytucji
130
Rzeczypospolitej
of the Constitution
Polskiej
of the
w celu
Republic of
złożenia
Poland
przysięgi przez
in order
nowo
for the
wybranego
newly elected
prezydenta
President of the
Rzeczypospolitej
Republic of
Polskiej.
Poland to take the oath of office.
Dziękuję Państwu bardzo.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Szanowni Państwo,
Ladies and gentlemen,
Mam wielki zaszczyt powitać
It is
na
my
dzisiejszej
honor to
uroczystości
welcome at today's
wraz z
session,
marszałek Senatu, panią
along
Małgorzatą
with the Speaker
Kidawa-Błońską,
of the Senate,
prezydenta
Mrs.
Rzeczypospolitej
Kidawa-Błońska,
Polskiej,
the
pana
President
Andrzeja Dudę
of the
wraz z
Republic of
małżonką.
Poland, Mr. Andrzej Duda, along with his spouse.
Witam prezydenta
I would like to
elekta,
welcome
pana
the
Karola
President-elect,
Nawrockiego wraz
Mr.
z
Karol
małżonką.
Nawrocki, along with his spouse.
Witam
I would like to welcome
prezesa Rady Ministrów, pana Donalda
Prime Minister
Tuska wraz z
Mr. Donald
członkami
Tusk,
Rady Ministrów.
along with his cabinet.
Witam byłych
I
prezydentów
would like to welcome the former
Rzeczypospolitej
presidents of the
Polskiej,
Republic of
pana
Poland,
Aleksandra
Mr. Aleksander
Kwaśniewskiego
Kwaśniewski
oraz pana Bronisława
and Mr.
Komorowskiego.
Bronisław Komorowski.
Witam byłych
I would
marszałków
like to welcome former
Sejmu i
speakers
Senatu
of the
oraz
Sejm and the
byłych
Senate
premierów.
and former
Witam
prime ministers.
Korpus dyplomatyczny
I would like to welcome the
wraz z
diplomatic
jego
corps,
dziekanem, nuncjuszem
along with its
apostolskim,
dean,
Jego Ekscelencją
His Excellency
Antonio
Archbishops Antonio Filipazzi.
Witam
I would like to welcome the delegation of the President of the United States of America, with Mrs. Kelly Loeffler heading it. I would like to welcome the representatives of the most important state institutions, representatives of churches and religious unions in Poland, along with the Primate of Poland, His Excellency Archbishop Wojciech Polak. I would like to welcome the commanders of the armed forces of the Republic of Poland, with General Wiesław Kukuła, head of the General Staff of the Polish Army. I would like to welcome the representatives of uniformed services. I would like to welcome members of the Sejm and the Senate, members of the National Assembly, members of the European Parliament, all of you, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests who joined us today at the swearing-in ceremony. The following will be appointed secretaries of the National Assembly, Mr. Mirosław Orliński and Senator Maciej Górski. Minutes will be taken by Mr. Mirosław Adam Orliński, MP.
Proszę Państwa o powstanie.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise.
Nastąpi teraz złożenie przysięgi
Now,
przez prezydenta
President
Rzeczypospolitej Polskiej.
of the Republic of
Bardzo proszę
Poland
pana prezydenta
will
wraz
take
z
the oath of
małżonką
office.
podejść
Mr. President,
do stołu prezydialnego.
please come to the Presidium table along with your spouse.
Proszę pana prezydenta
I would like to
o
ask
powtarzanie za mną
Mr.
kropy
President
przysięgi.
to repeat the words of the oath after me.
Obejmując z woli narodu
Assuming by the will of the
prezydenta
nation
Rzeczypospolitej
the office of
Polskiej.
President of the Republic of
Obejmując z woli
Poland,
narodu urząd prezydenta Rzeczypospolitej Polskiej,
Uroczyście
I
przysięgam,
do solemnly swear
uroczyście przysięgam,
że dochowam
to
wierności
be faithful to the
postanowieniom
provisions of the
Konstytucji.
Constitution.
dochowam wierności postanowieniom Konstytucji,
Będę
I
strzegł
pledge that
niezłomnej
I will
godności
steadfastly
narodu,
safeguard the
będę
dignity of the
strzegł niezłomnej
nation,
godności narodu,
niepodległości
the
i
independence and
bezpieczeństwa
security
państwa,
of the state,
niepodległości i bezpieczeństwa państwa,
a dobro
and
ojczyzny
also that
oraz
the good of the
pomyślność
homeland
obywateli
and the prosperity of
a
its
dobro
citizens
ojczyzny oraz pomyślność obywateli
będą dla mnie
will
zawsze
forever remain
najwyższym
my
nakazem.
supreme
będą dla
obligation.
mnie zawsze najwyższym nakazem. Tak mi dopomóż
So
Bóg.
help me God.
Dziękuję bardzo.
Thank you very much.
Stwierdzam,
I declare
że
that
prezydent
the President of the
Rzeczypospolitej
Republic of
Polskiej
Poland Mr. Karol Tadeusz Nawrocki has taken the oath of office before the National Assembly under Article 130 of the Constitution of the Republic of Poland. I would like to ask the President of the Republic of Poland, Mr. Karol Nawrocki, to give his address. Mr. President. The Republic of Poland is the common good of all its citizens, and the nation is the governing authority. That's why I would like to welcome the Polish nation, home and abroad. I would like to welcome the dozens, hundreds of citizens of Poland who came to Warsaw today, who had a chance to pass while coming to the Polish Parliament building. I would like to welcome millions of Poles who chose their president of the Republic of Poland, who has just been sworn in. Thank you everyone for the cast votes, for your support. Thank you all who did not vote for me, but did take part in this democratic act of voting that is a celebration of our democracy. Dear Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, Prime Minister, members of the National Assembly, Excellencies, Eminencies, Generals, ladies and gentlemen of the House, free choice of a free nation took me here to stand before you against electoral propaganda, lies, against the political theater that I had to combat on my way to the office of the President. And I did forgive them as a Christian from the bottom of my heart. And I do forgive that contempt and everything that was going on during the election. Ladies and gentlemen, as a community, as a nation, we are attached to our identity, to our Christian identity. This should not change. And Christian values, such as love and mercy for other people, is one of the foundations. But these elections send a strong signal to the whole political class that by electing me to this office, you got a signal that you can't govern like that anymore, and that Poland should not like this today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a voice of Polish women and men that they want politicians to fulfill their promises made during the electoral campaign. The 1st of June was a clear signal that Polish citizens want their electoral promises to be delivered on, and that they will not succumb to political propaganda. I'm saying that only because on the 1st of June we realized once again that the President of the Republic of Poland must be the voice of the citizens of the Republic of Poland and nobody else. As the President of Poland, I will be the voice of the Polish nation, and this is the task that is ahead of me. I won't surprise you with my political program for the forthcoming 5 years. Polish people expect politicians to deliver on their promises, and my promises are included in the Plan 21, in the plan for Poland for the 21st century. And this program was supported by millions of votes of Polish people. So my today's speech will not surprise you. I will be determined and I will be consistent in my implementation of that Plan 21. That plan clearly states that I am an avid supporter of all the initiatives, and I will support them with my decisions as well, that the Polish state will become the arena of groundbreaking projects such as the Central Airport and motorways and other projects. The program implemented by me will be the program of sustainable development of the Polish state. We are all from Polish cities and villages. There is no Poland A and Poland B, and this will not change over the next 5 years. Plan 21 and my manifesto is no for emigration, no for euro, yes for the Polish zloty. As the President of Poland, I will not allow for raising the retirement age for men and women. Although I'm aware that you already got the chance to know my Plan 21 during the electoral campaign, so I won't list all the points, but I deeply believe that my presidential term will revert the faith in promises that should be delivered on. For the next 5 years, for every hour, every week, every decision, every legislative initiative will contribute to my deliverance on the promises made to my voters and my supporters. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand here before you, aware of the great task and responsibility that is ahead of me. That I stand here in the Polish Sejm, aware of the divisions in the Polish political and social life. And I want to clearly declare that my decisions will not be taken along these political divisions, but against those divisions. I will always be taking decisions for the Polish nation and not for political emotions. I have not been interested in them for the last 42 years, and this won't change. I will remain faithful to my manifesto, and I can guarantee that to you. I will therefore be the voice of those who want sovereign Poland, who want Poland that is the member of the European Union, but Poland that is not the European Union, but remains Poland. Both in the discussions with the Polish government and in my decisions in the international arena through diplomacy, I will support the relationships across the European Union, but I will never give my permission for the European Union to take away Poland's competences, in particular in matters that are not enshrined in European treaties. Yes, I will be the voice of citizens who want sovereignty. I will be the voice of those who want safe Poland, and its security begins from every soldier, their equipment, their awareness, their spirit, their heart. I will be the voice of Polish soldiers, officers, and I will support, Mr. Prime Minister, all the efforts to modernize Polish army, all the efforts aimed at making the Polish army the strongest force in NATO and in the European Union. Ladies and gentlemen, and here I want to address our partners from the United States. I will support our most important alliances, primarily our alliance with the United States. I will also look after Poland's position in NATO. Already as President-elect, I made the effort to forge a relationship with NATO Secretary General, but I also think that Poland should be the leader in creating the system of responsibility and resilience of NATO Eastern Flank. And my dream is for the Bucharest 9 to become the soul and to become Bucharest 11 along with the Nordic states. And just like Poland, we will all be responsible for the strength of the NATO Eastern Flank, and this will be the geopolitical direction of my presidential term. Ladies and gentlemen of the National Assembly, I will also be the voice of Poles who want normal Poland attached to its traditions, Poland with good education, literature, Polish literature in Polish schools. As someone who for a dozen or so years have dealt with education and national remembrance, I will do everything so that the Polish schools will bring up next generations of Poles, so that Polish people leaving schools will be proud of being Polish. This is a good time to invite you all to the next edition of the National Reading, which is an initiative launched by President Komorowski, and with a great success continued and developed by President Andrzej Duda. National Reading will continue in the presidential palace during my term. And yes, also the President of Poland will be reading Polish books. It is a great time, ladies and gentlemen, to give thanks to President Andrzej Duda for the 10 years of his tenure with so many successes. Thank you, Mr. President, for such a democratic, civilized way he let me take over his office. I think we should all learn from him in this regard. Mr. President, thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, I will also be the voice of those Poles who want the welfare of Poland. Over the last 35 years as a national community, we've achieved great economic success. To be clear, this happened many times against politicians, but always because of amazing Polish business people, hard-working people who, over the last 35 years, worked very hard so that the Polish state can achieve this economic success. Those people often paid very high price for that, immigration, working too hard. But yes, over the last 35 years, Poland achieved economic success. Unfortunately, over that time, for many years, specific social groups of regions of Poland were excluded from that success, and this should be amended. But I would like to emphasize that after those 35 years, economists know that, MPs know that, something has changed in global geopolitics and economics. We need great investments. We need to wake up the aspirations of the Polish people. We cannot continue to be an auxiliary economy for our Western neighbors or for the whole European Union. Ladies and gentlemen, we should look for an economic route that will help us to become more competitive against Western Europe. Yes, we need breakthrough initiatives such as the Central Airport, and tomorrow I will submit an initiative so that we come back to the initial idea of that airport. So that we can find our economic flywheel for the following decades, so that we can continue to grow. I have been saddened by what is currently happening around breakthrough investment projects in Poland. We could divide them into those that are entirely blocked, those that have been diminished, or those delayed. And that is a very worrying scenario, as is the rapidly growing debt of our country, as is the demographic decline of our country. And Poland is following a very negative path in terms of development, and something needs to change. Prime Minister, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite you today to the session of the Cabinet Council that will take place in August. I would like to talk to the Polish government about the most important investments that are ahead of us, as well as about the state of the public finances. As the President of Poland, I should be fully informed about the current state of the Polish state. Ladies and gentlemen, I deeply believe, looking at the left part of the Polish Parliament, I deeply believe that when it comes to housing, public finances, we can reach a consensus over political divisions. This is about public housing, the future of our children, of the next generations of Poles. And I count on the cooperation of all political circles, and my cabinet, my office will also deeply care about those issues. I also count on you that we can reach consensus when it comes to senior citizens, young people, who are our future. There will be special presidential councils that will aim to work out solutions for these groups. But the strength and the potential of the state is also measured by how it reacts to the most affected people, and that's why I deeply believe that we can reach consensus across political spectrum pertaining to disabled people. Ladies and gentlemen, Poland has to come back to rule of law. Today, it is not. It's hard to call lawful a state where there is no state public prosecutor, where Article 7 of the Constitution, saying that the national authorities have to act under and within the law, has been regularly violated. That's why I stand here ahead of you to appeal to the whole political class and also to say to the Polish judges and the Minister of Justice that judges have to administer judgments and on behalf of Republic of Poland, and judiciary is one of the three branches of government. The legislative branch has been elected by voters, and judiciary has to be approved by the president elected in democratic elections. Ladies and gentlemen, the judges, let's say it out loud, are not gods. They should serve the Republic of Poland and its citizens. And I only say that to make it clear. Prime Minister, Minister of Justice, that I will not nominate or promote judges who violate the constitutional order of the Republic of Poland. I will promote the judges who protect the constitutional order of the Republic of Poland in accordance with the acts passed by the Polish Parliament. This is how I imagine the legal order of the Polish state. The legal security of Polish citizens waiting for just judgments and the constitutional order of the Polish state is, for me, much more important than self-complacency of self-satisfaction of one of the political classes in Poland. To solve the problem, I will convene a council for the state organization, and because this cannot continue, Polish people want the state to be fixed. Of course, this council will feature the representatives of many circles. I will invite everyone who cares about our state, and I believe that the presidential palace will become a place for discussion about how we can fix our country. Prime Minister, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the National Assembly, there is another task for our future that needs the activities of the President and all the political circles. I pay my respect to the creators of the 1997 Constitution that I will be the guardian of. But today, after almost 30 years, we are in a completely different social and geopolitical situation. For those 30 years, there have been so many competency arguments that as a political class we have to think about a new constitution that will be ready to be adopted, I believe, in 2030. Yes, the presidential palace will not only be a place where the Constitutional Council operates, but a place for fair discussion about what the 2030 Constitution should look like. Citizens need clear principles of cooperation among politicians and protection of the interests of the Polish state. And we should start now in 2025 so that in 2030 at the latest we can be ready. I deeply believe that the nation wants this from us so that we look closely at the constitution that will soon be 30 years old. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, I've been serving the Polish state across several institutions for many years. But I've been a member of the political life for a very short time, shorter than most of you. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, that to end, perhaps with political naivety, I will say that I believe that we can reach a consensus in the most important matters and exclude them from the political arguments. Development, housing, security are the issues where I believe an overarching political consensus can be reached. As a community, as a national community, we have a lot of beautiful experiences in working over independence, this beautiful work that also then required a lot of emotions. 1918 and the fathers of our independence gives us amazing lessons for today. They had one challenge of independence. The late President Lech Kaczyński said once that it's worth being Polish. Once again, we have to prove to Poland, to the whole world, that it's worth being Polish. And the fathers of our independence teach us exactly that. And it's hard not to agree with Roman Dmowski, who said that we are Polish and our obligations are Polish. I don't think anybody in that house has doubts that we are Polish and we have Polish obligations. Józef Piłsudski used to say that independence is not given once and for all. We feel that today more than ever. Behind our eastern border, a war is going on, and Poland has to thrive forever, as Wincenty Witos used to say. They had different perspectives, but they spoke with one voice. Wojciech Korfanty could teach us social sensitivity. He reminded that the main role of the state is to serve. And we are here to serve Polish citizens and the people. And as a president, I won't do anything else but to serve. Ignacy Daszyński used to say that you should serve the society and work hard and listen to the society. We need to listen to the society. The greatest virtuoso among our fathers of our independence, Ignacy Paderewski, with typical grace, used to say that we should fight those who push the nation towards its fall.
This was the inaugural speech of Poland's newly sworn-in President Karol Nawrocki. Of course, we'll continue to bring you the latest updates on the inauguration day celebrations throughout the day. And coming up next, World Talks with Sasha Farbach, devoted to this very topic.